An account manager at the industry leader in multifamily flooring used to pull over every time a client placed an order. Now he stays on the road and talks to an AI agent instead. That one change gave him back hours no one had ever actually accounted for. Forget dashboards and slick new apps for a second. This is about 10 minutes at a time, disappearing constantly, in a job built entirely around being in the car, and about what happens when you actually stop to notice where all those minutes go. His job is driving, visiting properties, walking units with property managers, building the relationships that actually move flooring contracts forward. That's the job, and it's a good one, but it comes with a built-in tax that never shows up on anyone's calendar. Every time a client wanted to place an order on the spot, he had to find a place to pull over, get his laptop or his phone out, log into the system, and enter everything by hand before he could get back on the road. 5 minutes here, 10 minutes there. Multiply that across a full day of stops, and you're looking at real hours gone, hours that used to go toward driving to the next property instead of sitting in a parking lot typing. Before we built anything, the honest first question was whether this was even worth solving. 10 minutes doesn't sound like much on its own. But he's not making one stop a day, he's making a dozen, sometimes more, and every single one carries that same tax. Add it up across a week, and you're not looking at a minor inconvenience anymore. You're looking at the equivalent of an entire extra workday spent parked on the side of the road instead of in front of a client. I built him an AI order system instead. Now, when a client wants to place an order, he calls an AI agent right from the road. He talks, the agent listens, and it takes the order accurately. No typing, no pulling over, no laptop balanced on his knee in a client's parking lot. The agent routes the completed order straight to customer service on the back end, formatted and accurate, ready for someone to process the second it lands. He never stops driving. He just talks. The difference shows up in the only place that actually matters for his role: how many properties he can get to in a day. Every stop he used to make just to enter an order is a stop he can now spend visiting one more client instead. Same hours behind the wheel. More properties inside those hours. That's the entire pitch, and it's also exactly what happened. The other side of this changed too, and it's the part that's easy to miss if you only look at his half of the job. Before, an order phoned in from the road often meant a voicemail or a rushed call where customer service was scribbling details on a sticky note while trying to keep up. Someone on that end had to call back to confirm a quantity they weren't sure they'd heard right, or double-check a delivery address that got mumbled halfway through a sentence. Now the order shows up already formatted, already accurate, sitting there ready to process the moment it lands. The account manager isn't the only person who got time back. Customer service stopped playing translator for information that should have been clean the first time. Here's why this is a different category of AI use case than most owners picture when they hear AI for my business. Picture the more typical fix a business tries first. A shared inbox someone checks between meetings. A form on a website that still requires sitting down to fill out. A scheduling app that assumes the person using it has a free hand and a flat surface. None of that works for a job that happens entirely behind a wheel. This had to be built around the one constraint that actually shaped his day. He's in a car, his hands are on a wheel, and stopping costs him something real every single time it happens. Most AI conversations start with the tool. This one started with the constraint. What's actually eating this person's time, and what would need to be true for that time to come back? For a desk-bound role, the answer might be a chatbot or an inbox assistant. For someone whose entire job happens between a driver's seat and a client's front door, the answer had to work through a phone call, hands-free, no screen required, accurate enough that customer service could trust what came through without double-checking it. That's the part that actually took real configuration. An order has product details, quantities, delivery specifics, account information, all the things that go wrong if a system half understands what it's hearing. A voice agent taking a real order over a phone call has to get every one of those details right the first time because there's no screen for anyone to glance back at and catch a mistake before it ships. Getting that right took real tuning against actual calls before customer service trusted what came through without double-checking it by hand. Getting an AI agent to take a real order over a phone call and route it accurately takes the same principle behind every piece of infrastructure I build. Start with what the person actually does all day, then build the thing that removes the friction inside that exact routine, instead of bolting on a generic tool next to it. A chatbot on his company's website would have done nothing for him. He's never in front of a screen long enough to use one. The infrastructure had to meet him where his job actually happens, which is behind a wheel, moving between properties, with a phone and nothing else. This is where a lot of AI purchases go wrong for field-based roles specifically. A business sees a competitor mention AI and buys whatever's being pitched that quarter, usually a chatbot, usually built for someone sitting at a desk with two hands free and a screen in front of them. It gets installed, it goes mostly unused by the people actually driving routes all day, and the business concludes AI doesn't work for their team. The mismatch is simple: a tool built for a desk job, deployed on a team that spends its entire day away from one. 1. The best AI use cases usually aren't the flashy ones. They're built around a constraint no one else bothered to design around, the 10 minutes at a time, that never show up on anyone's radar as a real cost until you actually sit down and add them up across a full week, at which point it stops looking small and starts looking like the most obvious fix in the business. 2. If someone on your team spends real time each day just entering information they already know by heart, that's a system problem, not a training one. The system was never built to catch what they already have in their head at the exact moment they have it, so they end up re-entering it later, slower, from whatever parking lot or spare minute they finally find to sit down with it. 3. Productivity gains that come from removing friction inside an existing routine tend to be more durable than gains that come from adding a brand new tool people have to remember to open. No one has to remember to make a phone call. That's already how the job works, which is exactly why it's stuck, without anyone needing to be retrained on it, and it's why adoption here was immediate instead of the usual slow crawl towards someone actually using a new tool consistently. More roles built entirely around being away from a desk are going to get this kind of infrastructure over the next few years, because the constraint is the same everywhere a job happens outside an office. Someone's time is getting eaten by small, repeated interruptions that never look big enough on their own to fix until someone finally sits down, adds them up, and builds around them instead of around a desk that person barely sits at. The businesses that figure this out first won't be the biggest ones in their industry. They'll be the ones willing to look at how the job actually gets done before deciding what to buy. If any of what you just saw sounds like your business, the operational snapshot will tell you how deep the gap is and what it would take to fix it. Free. Link in the description. If you enjoyed this content, like and subscribe so you can watch more videos about how to apply AI into your business.